Gimme the Hot Sauce, episode 112. We've got a very special NBA guest coming up, Doris Burke. You watch her on ESPN and ABC, providing excellent analysis on NBA games. She's going to join us in just a bit. But we hope everybody had a great Christmas and is safe and enjoying being around family and friends. We're enjoying being back in the Sriracha studios. We had a best of episode last week, so it's been a couple of weeks since we've been with you live. And the Twitch chat is already on fire because Stacey King stepped out and really made it very obvious that you're not a fan of Grayson Allen last night.
America. I don't condone violence, okay, but I've been known to throw a few punches here and there, okay? I'm just saying, you know, I grew up throwing these things, Mark. I'm 100, 0, and 1. I only lost one fight in my lifetime. Yeah. That's to the one-armed girl.
We remember that story.
Go back and look at that episode, okay? It's not something I'm proud about, but I have to admit when I took a loss. But this guy, and I got into a Twitter debate today with a lot of them were Milwaukee fans.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's so funny when you're dealing with fan bases because when a guy's on your team, you kind of just erase his history.
Yeah.
Like, no, he's not like that. Oh, DeRozan flopped. Oh, Caruso, it wasn't a hard foul. Caruso fell down on himself and fell on his arm himself. Okay. Well, America, I had to get into it today. I could not. Look at it, a forearm shiver to the head, America.
Yeah.
See this, okay? I couldn't let it go, Mark.
No, of course not.
I couldn't let it go. And so on Twitter today, people were talking. So I had to pull out receipts. You know, when we pull out receipts means you got to pull out facts. And so people act like that was his first offense that he's done in the NBA.
Right.
That was the first time he did anything wrong, okay? He has a history that goes all the way back to his freshman year at Duke where he has done things that are questionable against the rules. Tripping, hitting people in the private parts, sticking his butt out when someone's running down the court. You know, go back and look at my Twitter, America, and you see it. I posted it up there for you guys to see. It's posted up there so you can see all his offenses that he's done. I don't have anything against Grayson Allen. I just don't like.
Yes, you do.
No. No, I think the kid is a good NBA player. He can shoot the basketball. This is a league that is predicated on three-point shooting. He belongs in this league because he can shoot three-point shots, okay? He's a kid that can handle the ball. He can do a lot of things. He plays defense, but it's the extra activities that you just can't turn a blind eye to. I remember watching him in college and how he tripped players, and I was like, man, somebody needs to punch this kid, like you know, because if you were playing a pickup game. Me and Mark were talking about this. If you're playing a pickup game outside, or you're playing in a health club, and there's a guy that's notoriously that plays pickup games with you that does dirty stuff. You go to the layup or dunk the ball, and a guy runs underneath your. Oh Lord! Oh, I'll turn your music down. Oh Lord, they're trying to kill me over here. Oh, Maddie, turn it down. I'm a professional analyst. So anyway, if you're playing somebody in a pickup game, and a dude who has notoriously known as being a hack, someone that tries to hurt people.
You mean like when you and Tim used to play?
Tim wasn't like that. We had a couple guys. Jimmy the Redhead Assassin. Shout out to Jimmy the Redhead Assassin. If you listen to the show,
the best.
Yeah, you are the best. Jimmy the Redhead Assassin would be considered Grayson Allen at where's our Midtown. But it used to be Forest Grove.
Undercutting, main shots,
running
elbows.
elbow hitting people in the private.
Kidney shots.
And he's about 5'2", and he got away with it because he was so little.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, you just jumped over me. You know, like one time he undercut me, and I literally wanted to throw him up against like the wall like Art, because I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I was still playing with the Bulls at the time. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you're not gonna block my dunk. Why are you trying to? I just want to play hard.
Oh,
like, okay,
no.
You do that. You do that shit.
You hate that guy.
You do that shit again. Well, I'm gonna knock you out. Okay.
Your forehead hit my kneecap. You know what I mean?
So, like I said, if you were playing a pickup game, there would be blows thrown. You'd have to be separated. You know, someone hits you in the back of the neck with a forearm shiver, and they have a reputation of being in the pickup game, doing excess of stuff. You would get up. You'd probably swing on a guy. So it's no different in the NBA. NBA players in the 90s, the difference between the 90s and today's league is the 90s, we took care of it in-house. Like, that didn't happen. If you did something to Michael Jordan, you better believe we're going to get you back. It may not be at that second, but it's going to be sometime in the game. And as big guys, we would say, MJ, just run him off the screen.
Yeah.
And subtly, because you can't do it right away, because then it looks like obvious that you went after him. It might be in the fourth quarter. It might be the next game. But he's going to know you don't do that to our player. You don't do anything dirty to our player. These guys are all nice and everything, but I guarantee you, and I tell this to the Bucks fans, if Grayson Allen would have been on another NBA team and he did that to Giannis,
oh yeah,
trust me, and it would have been in Milwaukee, they would have had to have a police escort to get that kid out of there because they would not have tolerated that, and any NBA team would not have tolerated. So to sit up there and act like, oh, everybody's overreacting and everybody's picking on Grayson Allen, come on, man, stop capping.
Yeah, and given the history, too, that he could have ended Alex Caruso's career last year with that dirty play that he broke his wrist on.
And Alex is still having problems with his wrist. If you ever watch him in the game, he's constantly moving. It's constantly getting tight. It's constantly tight, and he's always fiddling around with it. He's not fully recovered from that.
Yeah.
And that could have ended his career.
Yeah, so for Bucks fans to say, you know, that I know somebody said that, oh, DeRozan has more technicals than Grayson Allen. I mean, you talk about apples and oranges comparison.
Yeah. He says, DeRozan has more technical fouls than. Okay, so now you're comparing apples and oranges.
Yeah.
You're comparing a basketball player disagreeing with a call with an official getting a tech. DeRozan's not going out there taking people down out the air.
Right.
He's not out there tripping people or hitting them in the private parts. So don't compare that. That's you're pulling up analytics and trying to turn and twist the narrative to fit, the crime. And it's not, like yesterday. Oh, he got pushed. Okay, he got pushed by Patrick Williams, but there was enough space for him to be able to slow down and not do what he did. There was plenty of room. It wasn't like he was 12 inches away from him or a foot away from him. He had plenty of room to stop, and then he could have just grabbed DeRozan and just took the foul. Like, I got pushed. The referee's going to see it. I got pushed. Hold DeRozan up. But he came with the forearm shiver, like he just, off the turnbuckle. He jumped off the turnbuckle, oh, yeah. And he came with the forearm shiver, and he gave a little extra push.
Yes,
it wasn't like he just stopped and hit him. He gave the extra push. And that's why that's why me and Adam said what we said. That's why people have been saying what they've said about this kid. And if you go back and you look at the video of Dan Dockage, who does college basketball, they did a summer league when he first came into the league when he was with Memphis. And he got ejected out of 2 games, one against the Boston Celtics and against Grant Williams. He sucker punched him, hit him in the back of the head, and then it hard fouled him across the face. Got ejected out of that game. And Dan Dockage took task to him, just ripped him. So go listen to Dan Dockage to see what Dan Dockage said about him. If y'all think what I said was harsh, you should go listen to Dan Dockage.
Well, Stacey, you had a little extra last night. You said a 2-piece and a biscuit, which you said many times. But then you added a Fanta.
Let me tell you something. America.
Last night.
America.
Not Fanta.
America.
What flavor was the Fanta?
Orange.
Of course.
America. When I tell you, listen, it takes a lot to get me mad, okay? There's only been a few times on this show that I've been wanting to throw punch somebody, but I've been able to calm myself down. Whispers over here has been a victim of about 5 throw punches. Francisco over here has been threatened. Matter of fact, he's going to get it after the show because he's talking about my Sooners. We'll talk about that later. But I don't condone violence, okay? I try to turn the other cheek, okay? But a lot of times you can't turn the other cheek in this world, man. You just can't. You have to address issues when they come up. And when a person is a repeat offender of doing the same thing over and over, obviously he's not learning. Obviously he's not understanding that you can't do that in this game. Okay, so therefore, since we just like when you're little kids, you talk to your kids, we talk to them, give them a timeout. No, you can't do that. Don't do that. Dad doesn't want. No, don't do that. And then you keep doing it. And after a time later, man, you might have to get a little diaper. You might have to slap the little hand.
So the biscuit and the Fanta is something extra.
Yeah, Tim, you're making more out of this than what it needs to be. Okay, first of all, you was late to the show today.
I was not.
You're late to the show, and you're not on my good side right now. Matter of fact, there is a box full of throw punches that will be delivered to you.
He's giving them out for the holiday season.
This is the holiday spirit. I'm giving out throw punches. This man over here.
Hey, the chat on YouTube is really hot today. And
hot.
Ben is asking, Stacey, who do you think an OG Bull that you'd like to see that would have been on the court after Grayson Allen pulled that shit? How about a guy like Charles Oakley?
Oh, I can name a ton of. I named a few people.
Even Stacey King, if you've been on the court.
Myself, Scott Williams, Horace Grant, Charles Oakley, Dennis Hobson,
Bill Cartwright.
Bill Cartwright. There's Will Perdue. Even Will would have went out there and did something. There's a lot of guys that would have done something because you got to stick up for your teammates.
Yeah, you
have to. If somebody ran at my teammate and was trying to get in his face, and I'm going to be right there with my teammate. I got your back. I'm not going to let that happen to you. This league is a league it's I don't want to say soft because that's a really harsh word, but it's in my opinion this league everybody's friends. Everybody's friends. Think about how many rivalries there actually are in this league now. That's what made the NBA so special. It started with Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and you had, Boston and Philadelphia rivalry, the Bulls in Detroit, the Bulls in New York. You had all these rivalries. What rivalries do you have in the NBA now? No one there's no dislike other than Memphis is trying to.
With Golden State.
Memphis is trying to stir up the pot a little bit. I give Ja Morant and that young Memphis team a lot of credit. They're trying to bring back that 90s style basketball. Like, we don't like you. You don't like us. Let's settle it.
Hey, before we talk about the Bulls and what's going on with the season, we want to tell you one of our great sponsors. When it comes to insurance for your auto, home, and business, make sure you contact the king of insurance, our good friend, nationwide agent, Jeff Vukovich. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. And as the best jingle in the business, Stacey's pointing at Tim.
I'm pointing at Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I'm not doing it.
How about
Tim? Come on, Tim. Do it, please. Come on.
Nationwide.
Okay, enough. Nationwide is on your side.
I knew that would happen.
Yeah.
I had to stop America.
He
was
close.
already butchering it. I'm
That
sorry.
was close.
Your voice was dry. It just didn't come off good. I had to stop you.
I
Sorry,
thought
Tito.
the raspiness was good.
Sorry, Tito.
No. Woohoo.
Hey, let's talk about the Bulls a little bit. It's been a kind of a roller coaster ride over the last couple of weeks. A couple of ugly losses, the 150-point game at Minneapolis, and then they gave up 133 to the Rockets on Monday. But, Stacey, they've won 4 of their last 5, and if the season ended today, they'd be in the play-in tournament.
I call them the cardiac bulls.
Yeah.
Because you're getting a heart attack when they're winning, and you're getting a heart attack when they're losing. I mean, it's just so much. There's so much drama with this team so far this year. To give up 150 points to start that road trip off, a team that we thought we should have beaten, and
Without Towns,
without Towns and Gobert, no rim protection, we should have beat that team. They got 150 points against us, and I listen. This is a prideful team. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. I got into this discussion today on Twitter too. Is that don't believe everything that you're reading in the media. Some of this stuff is like, they're throwing things on the wall to see if it'll stick. There is no problem between these players on this team. They all get along. I'm with them all the time, okay? I have an insight that no one else has.
Right.
No newspaper, no media person, nobody. I have an insight, the direct line to these guys, and these guys get along perfectly, okay? What the problem is that their defense has been atrocious this year. And it's because lack of, second and third efforts. And so that was addressed amongst the team, is that guys need to come out and be prepared on defense, not offense, because the Bulls can score with anybody in the league. They have to be able to come out and stop teams. That's the only way they're going to win. You have to be able to go out there, and you've heard DeMar. We've interviewed DeMar after wins, and the first thing they say is that, we had to get together, we had to come out here, and we got to play hard every single night. This is how we have to play. And so it gets so frustrating to the Bulls Nation is because you see these games against Brooklyn, the Celtics, win 2 against Celtics. We win 2 against Milwaukee, teams that supposedly we're not even supposed to win these games. Because last year we were beating all the tomato cans, per se. We were beating all the bad teams, but losing to all the good teams. And that was one of the big issues, like, the Bulls are not going to get past the first round because they can't beat good teams, and the good teams are on the playoffs now. Now it's the opposite. We're beating the good teams, and we're coming to these games against the weaker teams and taking those teams for granted and saying, we'll just show up. We can beat the Rockets. They only won 3 games on the road. They're the worst team on the road. So let's go ahead and get this W and just come out here and give a half-ass effort. And you can't do that. And I think, after seeing last night's game, guys have to start taking this personally, because it's like you just had a bad game against Houston, and all of a sudden, a day later, you had 1 day off, and now you turn up your intensity level against Milwaukee. Because why? Because these good teams will blow the doors off of you if you come out of here playing like you did against Houston. But that same mental focus, Mark, has to be every single game the rest of the night.
I know it's impossible to really evaluate where this Bulls team stands right now, but is the arrow, do you think, pointing up, pointing down, or kind of in the middle? Because, they've, as I mentioned, they've won 4 of their last 5. The last 3 wins were right at the end. They came back from 11 down against Milwaukee the other day. What's the state of the Bulls right now?
Listen, I liken the Bulls to where Boston was last year. Boston was a disaster in the first half. They were one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference in the first half of the season last year. They were fighting amongst themselves. They didn't know who the man was. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were, not coexisting as the number 1 and number 2 guy. They both want to be the number 1 guy. So they were imploding last year. And then all of a sudden, they were going to trade Marcus Smart. You heard his name up. They were ready to blow up that whole team. And then all of a sudden, they had a come to Jesus meeting in the locker room. guys put their personal differences to the side and say it's all about winning. And they turned it around. They were the hottest team in the second half, and they rode that hot streak all the way to the finals. I say the Bulls are in that same situation. They have the talent enough to really make some noise. We don't know when Zoe is coming back. That's huge. If Zoe ever comes back, I mean, again, that's like adding 3 players. That's if. But until he comes back, these guys have to man the post right now. They have to defend home court. They got to defend, when they go out and play these teams, they got to come out and play hard every night until Zoe comes back. Because when Zoe comes back, you don't want to be in the 12th or 13th spot trying to fight into a playoff spot. You want to be comfortably in the playoffs, and then when you get a Zoe back, you're ready to go because now you get a player back that's fresh, ready to go, and a guy who's going to bring something different that we haven't seen since he went out.
Yeah, hopefully he will be able to return this year. The last reports, he still doesn't know what his status is, hasn't done any basketball activity, but hopefully they can get him back at some point. The Bulls come from behind win over Milwaukee wasn't the only crazy comeback of this week. It's been just bizarre with so many strange finishes. How about the game between the Knicks and Dallas? The Knicks had a 9-point lead with 33 seconds left, and Dallas came back. Doncic missed a free throw on purpose, got his own rebound and scored to force overtime, and then Dallas won the game in overtime. And the stat line for Luka has never before been seen. Even Wilt Chamberlain didn't get this. 60 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists. You look at Luka, and you're thinking, this guy doesn't look like he's going to be a dominant NBA player, but he just kills guys. I mean, the way he plays is remarkable.
Well, you go back to that draft, and you look at the teams who had an opportunity to get him. Imagine him being on Phoenix Suns team right now. Imagine him playing in Sacramento. Him alone could have probably had that team in the playoffs by now, even in his first year. So a lot of teams passed on him. The trade,
and even Atlanta. Trae Young's great, but
and so you see that. So when this is all said and done, this kid is going to be looked at as one of the greatest players to ever play.
He reminds me so much of Larry Bird. Not great athlete, but he just finds multiple ways to beat you.
He's a much better athlete than Larry Bird. Don't sleep. I mean, he dunked on somebody the other night. I saw that. I was like, oh man, Luka dunked on somebody, right? He turned that over. But I tell you what, you take Luka off that team, Dallas might be whatever their G League team's name is. They might
especially
have to,
after losing Brunson. That was a bad
move. You know what? I think they undervalued how important Jalen Brunson was to that team. I think they looked at him being a second-round pick, and they saw Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah, I thought he'll just step in.
And he'll step in. Yeah. But what they realized, what that kid brought to the table was the intangibles, the leadership, the ability to make others better around him, as you see with the Knicks. We saw the 3 games we played against them. He's the reason why the Knicks beat us the first 2 out of 3 times because, late in the game, to have a point guard to settle everybody down, to tell Julius Randle, no, we're not taking bad shots, get in the post or go wherever you are. We're going to take advantage of the matchups. That's what you need.
How about LeBron the other night saying that he's not going to play the rest of his career with losing teams, kind of throwing a little kerosene on the fire with the Lakers with everything's going on, almost threatening that if you don't get your act together, I'll just go somewhere else where I can win a championship.
Well, if you're the Lakers, you say, good. Because, you've been quietly, LeBron is as great a player as he is. He's a terrible GM.
Yeah,
because
true.
At the end of the day, he has pressured the Lakers into getting all these players that he wanted. These are all you got. Look at all the players that are on other teams that the Lakers could have right now on their roster and probably would have won multiple titles. Kuzma, you let him go. Now you want to trade back for him. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. Then you got Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram. You got Josh Hart that's playing well in Portland. Alex Caruso. You had all these guys on your roster, Lonzo Ball, and you let them all go because LeBron didn't want to be on a young team trying to help a young team get. If he would have just been a little patient and gave him 1 or 2 years and let those guys. And remember they had Julius Randle too.
Julius Randle.
So all these guys that are off somewhere else and made all-star teams. If they would have kept those teams together and the Lakers would have stood pat and said, LeBron the player, we love you, but LeBron the GM, not going to have you. We're going to do that. And I think they've allowed him to bring, Carmelo Anthony, all these guys on his team, and then they're old. I mean, they're older. They're not the same players they used to be, and it's showing now.
We started talking about the little fracas with Grayson Allen and the Bucks, but there was a much more serious incident happened in Detroit. It was just very bizarre. Mo Wagner gets hit in the back of the head and literally gets knocked out. And what's the name of the PA guy in Detroit who's been there for years? Detroit basketball.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he's got that distinctive delivery.
Real deep voice.
And Killian Hayes hits him with a forearm and literally knocks him out. And so our guy in the PA goes, "Don't leave your seat. If you leave your seat, you're going to jail."
You're going to
because
jail.
Everybody remembered the Malice at the Palace, and they didn't want round 2 at the pizza arena, whatever they call it.
Well, Pizza Hut. I think it's not Pizza. It's Little Caesars.
Little Caesars
Arena.
Yeah.
Pizza. But
yeah, let's get some pizza in here. By the way,
no kidding, man. What kind of place is this, man? We used to bring food here all the time. We ain't got nothing now.
So
look at Tim. I'm over here drinking hot sauce.
I'm over
here drinking hot sauce.
All right, I'll order it now on my phone.
We got hot sauce here, nothing to put it on.
Hey, don't forget Lucas said after the 61 points, I need a recovery beer.
That's right, he did.
Oh my God, this guy's done.
Which is a great line. I like him even better after that.
I'm gonna tell you what, though. That was ugly last night. Wagner is always instigating things. He's always instigating.
He's
things.
the lesser talented Wagner.
Exactly. And so he, what he did Killian Hayes flop a little bit trying to get that loose ball? Yeah, he did. Yeah. Okay, he went flying into. I think he made it worse than what it really was. But Wagner did throw a little flipper. But afterwards, man, to hit somebody in the back of the head, man, I'm square up, man. If you want to fight somebody, square up, man. Let them see you. Like, let's,
right.
You look at me, I look at you, and let's fight. I never want to be a guy that hits somebody from behind or sucker punch somebody and then act like I'm a badass. Like, yeah, you hit the dude in the back of the head.
Yeah.
I don't care how big he was and how small you were. You sucker punched him and hit him in the back of the head and knocked him out. So unless he had like some titanium forearms, I'm like, damn, how did he knock him out with a little forearm?
Well, at least one of the Detroit coaches caught him. It'd have been worse if they just let him fall.
Because he fell like a tree.
He did.
Like
he was going down.
He was like,
yeah.
And I was like, did he get knocked out from a blow to the back of it? Like a shiver to the neck?
Hey, if you get somebody right, that's that 1-inch punch.
Yeah, the 1-inch punch. But I'm telling you, Mark, I just don't like guys. I don't like sucker punches, man. I never like that. I never like any. You're a coward. You sucker punch somebody. If you want to fight somebody and you want to handle your business, like square up and let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't sit up there and the dude turns his back and you hit him in the back of the head, man. That's such a coward move, man. That's a punk move.
Hey, we've got a very special guest waiting in the Sriracha waiting room. We're not going to keep Doris Burke waiting for another second. I know all the folks on the chat line are really excited about the interview with Doris and weighing in with some possible questions as well. So Doris Burke is next on Gimme the Hot Sauce, episode 112. Time for a very special treat here on the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. It's our pleasure to welcome in Doris Burke, who does outstanding work for ESPN and ABC, analyzing the NBA. She's done work on college basketball, done play-by-play in her past. Doris, thank you so much for joining us. We understand you're getting a little bit of a break for the holidays. I imagine during the middle of an NBA season, you must treasure this time.
Yeah, it's unique to go almost 2 weeks between games. But next up, we just switched out on my next telecast, which was supposed to be Chicago at Philly on Friday, guys. And because Brooklyn is rolling right now and Zion is so telegenic, I'm now going to be at New Orleans a week from Friday. So I'll miss you, Stacey.
Oh, man, that just stinks. Come on, Doris. Talk to him. Tell him you want to see that Philly Bulls game.
Bulls got to win some more games.
Well, let me ask you a question, because you've done some Bulls games this year. You've seen the team from afar. Tell us your take on this team and what you think the problem is from the outside.
I think even I was watching last night, Stacey, and I think the thing that strikes me the most is just the fluctuations you get with this team. You know, in the third quarter, I thought Giannis was running roughshod over you guys. It didn't appear that anybody had any interest, and I don't blame them from, a sanity perspective. I'm not sure I'd want to step in front of Giannis when he's rolling either. But there came a point where it just felt like the tide shifted a little bit defensively. And then to see the run they made in the fourth and down the stretch, that one play by DeMar at the end of that regulation was just ridiculous. I guess I'd ask you guys this question about the Bulls. You know, and I'm going to be honest, right? Like, I don't pull for teams. I grew up a Knicks fan because of where I, was born and raised. I'm not as much a Knicks fan just because my job requires me to be so neutral. But I because of Billy Donovan, I pull for the Bulls, right? Like, I want to see them do well because my classmate is coaching them. The one thing, like, what do you think their ceiling is if Lonzo Ball is healthy, right? Is it the ceiling we saw at the end of last season after the great start? I don't know what the over under on games won was supposed to be this year. I don't know whether there's 45 games. Like, I'd ask you the ceiling of this team, what you believe it is, because you're immersed in it every single day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I will say this: if Lonzo Ball is healthy, he adds a totally different dimension to this team. I mean, it's like having three players on your team from the point guard position, 6'6". He can defend anybody in the pick and roll. I mean, he's been able to guard guys like Giannis in the post without a double team. He rebounds from the point guard position, which we struggle at on the defensive boards at times. He blocks shots. He comes down and blocks shots. He was the second in block shots last year. And where he's really missed this year, Doris, is the fact that he is the facilitator. He makes Zach's game more efficient. He makes DeMar's game more efficient. It takes the ball out of DeMar's hands, having to bring the ball up the floor every single time down the floor. Because if you notice, we don't do a lot of fast breaking. I mean, there's occasionally, every blue moon we'll have one game where we have like 25 fast break points, but that's few and far between. But with Zoe is a guy that really pushes the tempo, and it's not even off the bounce. It's like get a rebound, turn, and pitch the ball up the floor with guys running. And the guys respect him enough to get out on the wings and take off and fill lanes because they know they're going to get the ball. Zach knows he's going to get a lob pass from anywhere past half court if he runs hard. Right now, I just think that in the second half last year, go back to that second half when he went out, we lost that leadership at that point guard position, and then we started playing more ISO ball. And it's kind of carried over to this year where we're really strictly an ISO ball type of team. And as good as DeMar has played, it's still ISO ball.
It's funny. I would say two things about Lonzo. And, obviously you look at up front, what you have up front. But when you pressure the ball with Lonzo, when you can pressure the ball at the point of attack with Caruso, it gives you a little bit more time for that post player to maybe get to top side or to find position or to maybe meet that post early. People can forget how disruptive Lonzo was at the point of attack. And to me, that's the area where defensively I feel like you're not the same. And then to your point about, like, one thing Lonzo does exceptionally well in my mind, and Doc Rivers, because I live in Philly in the winter, Doc is preaching this constantly, that push ahead pass, that catch at the free throw line in the backcourt, that 35-foot pass that automatically puts pressure on a team if somebody's sprinting the floor, and in particular, if there's a big running rim to rim. And listen, you can look across the East to me, Stacey, and see teams who've got to find more diversity offensively. Doc's preaching that because he knows, yes, the pick and roll with Harden and Embiid is elite, but the more diverse you are offensively, the more dangerous. And you can't be grinding every possession.
Yes.
Like in the playoffs, you got to get some easy buckets. So those opportunities in transition. Look no further than the Milwaukee Bucks, right? Like they're 18th in offense. Think about how staid they got down the stretch. That jumper by Giannis late, like they got to get better offensively. And all those easy ones you get, they matter.
Yeah, I totally agree with you because in this game, 82 games, teams don't have time to lock in on you completely. You just kind of go about, okay, we know what this guy likes to do and try to take it away. But when you go to a playoff game, it goes into a half-court game. Now because teams have time to prepare, they have time to take away everything that you're trying to do. And that's what we ran into last year against Milwaukee in that first round. Like we should have probably won the first game, and then the second game we ended up winning. But they figured out what DeMar was doing. And they said, hey, you know what? The Bulls don't shoot the three ball very well, so we don't close out to their non-shooters, and let's just, zone it up in the middle and force DeMar to have to make decisions with the ball or take difficult shots.
Yeah, that's the key. I'm like, that's elite. This is what Milwaukee does defensively. Sometimes I look at the length that they have, and they have done a better job. There's been moments, Boston on Christmas Day lit them up from three. But one thing that's making them better defensively is their willingness to change, right? Bud gave up, I think, 53 more threes to Boston in the conference semifinals than they made. So now the beauty of staying attached to those shooters is there's length in other positions, there's size. And oh, by the way, Brook Lopez, pretty damn good there, manning the center. As a communicator, as a guy who can protect the rim, sort of navigate his way around and make sure everybody's handling pick and roll. Like, I don't worry about Milwaukee defensively. I'm curious how many of their offensive struggles are based on the absence of Chris Middleton. But so if you want, you're moving forward. You're the Chicago Bulls, Stacey. What do they need?
Ooh, wow, that's a good question.
Put your GM hat on.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my GM hat on right now. I tell you what, it's tough because like at first, I think a lot of people don't think Zach and DeMar can play together right now. I disagree with that. I think if you had Lonzo Ball there, because they worked out really well last year, and that's definitely what we need, a point guard. I've even said I feel like they should start Dragic because Dragic gives you the best chance because he's a true point guard. He knows how to get everybody involved and get easier shots. He also can stretch the defense because he shoots, close to 38% from the three-point line, which you have to honor that. Whereas Caruso and Ayo don't shoot the three ball very well, and their teams are just leaving them to clog the middle to add more help to Zach or DeMar. So that's something I hope that they look into right now because they're trying to limit his minutes. They don't want him to play a lot of minutes, but he's playing 25 to 28 minutes anyway. So let him get those at the starting because we've been struggling getting off to good starts. Like that's been our Achilles heel all season long. We find ourselves down 15 points, 16 points in the first quarter, and we have to fight our way all the way back. And I think that's one of the big reasons.
I would caution your fans about calling for the breakup of Levine and DeMar, because I think you saw this at the start of last year with the Celtics tandem. There are, conversations about, well, they don't pass to one another. Their skill sets are too similar. Can't please them both. And I'm thinking to myself, those two guys are the last of the Celtics problems. They're long, they're athletic, they can post a mismatch, they can both break you down off the dribble. Like you're out of your minds if you trade either one of them. Same to me with DeMar and Zach. Like I agree, Stace, they can play together. And the idea of starting Dragic, you know what the other element? There's a competitive toughness and a big game experience to that guy.
Yes.
That I like. And I sort of like starting that game with him, with those other two, because I don't know, there's just this competitive toughness that I like about him, in addition to his experience and the other skills you talked about.
Doris, I know a lot of our viewers and listeners would like to know more about you personally. You were an outstanding player at Providence, set a whole bunch of records, and then you got into broadcasting. How did that transition from player to broadcaster happen, and who was most influential in getting you on the fast track to the success you're enjoying now?
I'm going to be honest with you. If you guys could have seen me in college, like I had it all going on. Bad hair, bad skin, bad teeth, bad clothes, you name it. And terribly shy, like painfully shy. You could ask Billy this. I was an absolute freaking disaster. But I love the game, and I've cared deeply about it. It's probably shaped who I am for far too long. I picked it up when I was 7. I'm the last of 8 kids, very working class family. I have no shot of going to college. My parents were about paying bills and trying to make sure the lights are staying on. So the fact that I got that basketball scholarship, I say I'd be a waitress on the Jersey Shore if I don't get educated because of the game of basketball. And I fell into it, Mark, to be honest with you. I left coaching. I was an assistant at my alma mater, Providence College, for 2 years. But I wanted to get married and start my family. And I did not think I could be a great coach and be a great mom and wife and all the things I had hoped to be back then. There were some women who were pulling it off at the time. Pat Summitt would be one. But I'll never forget this. I knew I made the right choice. I was covering Penn State at the time. Head coach was highly successful. She goes to her first Final Four, and in the post-game presser, she said, "I'd like to thank my husband, John, for raising my children." Now, I'm an announcer at that point, and I'm probably 8 to 10 years deep in my career, and I thought, okay, you made the right choice. I've been really lucky. And I entered the business, to be honest with you guys, at the perfect time. Coverage of women's basketball was starting to explode. Then the deeper I got into my career, the 1997, the WNBA formed. I happened to land the job in New York, like major media market. I say my career is a happy accident. I am the luckiest person on earth. I kid you not.
Wow.
I tell you what, I mean, I look at you as one of the best in the business, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. I definitely really mean that. Talk a little bit about who, when you were coming up in the business, that you idolized and you said, hey, you know what? I can learn a lot from this person. I'm taking a little bit of this, a little bit of that, because I think we all do. We all do. Because Dick Vitale, Dick Vitale is my guy. Like, that's how my energy level comes off. Is I always loved the way he would come to Oklahoma and be like, "Where's my man Sky King?" And he was just, I just thought that was the coolest thing. And I said, I want to be like him. And Kevin Harlan used to do Minnesota games when I was in Minnesota, and I always loved his energy. So I'm like, man, if I ever do any kind of broadcast, I want to be like those guys. So who is it for you?
So funny you say Dick Vitale, my closest friend from high school. I remain very good friends with her. She told me years ago when we were kids, I swore one day I would work with Dick Vitale. I don't remember saying it, but I happened to be on his team at one point as a sideline reporter. Do you guys remember Billy Packer?
Oh, sure.
Dick Enberg.
Yep.
And Al McGuire were a trio.
Yep.
And you used to have to watch college basketball Saturday or Sunday at like noon or 3 o'clock. And it was UCLA, it was Notre Dame. There were only certain teams on. And I was always like an Al McGuire fan. Like, I don't know, stylistically, Billy was straight and Al had more flavor and style and substance. And that's the earliest memory I have, Stacey. And then, I was really fortunate when I was early in my career. Robin Roberts was doing play-by-play on women's basketball before she obviously, became the monumental star she is. But she was an incredible mentor to me, the work habits, the professionalism. I was sort of calling Big East women's basketball. UConn was becoming a powerhouse, and looking next to her thinking, my God, I'm working with Robin Roberts. So I've had a few. I'm going to be honest, and thank you for what you said earlier, because there's certain local broadcasts, now that I only cover the NBA, like certain times you're like tuning in and going, all right, we got the Stacey Having broadcast. Last night, I had Steve and Lisa, and they are great. But as I texted Adam about the start of the second quarter, they are not sriracha.
I appreciate that. I was right next to when I got the text, so he showed me.
That's where the name of the podcast came from, Doris. Stacey's trademark call. Give me the hot sauce.
Yeah, I did. It did. Yeah. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Stacey, you can see, I don't know if you can see on our table. He's got his own line of hot sauce. That's how big this guy is now.
I see it, baby. I'm getting a gift pack.
I said I was going to send her a gift pack. I told her I was going to send her a gift pack. We're going to get her a gift pack. Yeah. So we were talking last night. You saw the play with Grayson Allen. Okay, and I mean, give it. You're an analyst. I mean, give us your take on that. I mean, and his I want to say his history of being a guy that pushes it to the limit. You know what I'm saying? So, what is your take on that? Did you think that was excessive last night?
And listen, I did not hear what you said. I saw some of the action on Twitter, and to me, my eyes at first were like, okay, he got pushed into him. The problem for that young man is his history. And it happens so consistently, both at Duke and then in the early part. Like, listen, if I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, I'm pulling my hair out last night. You lost Alex Caruso last year because, of what was considered a ridiculous, open floor at the cup play. And, I'm looking at him and seeing DeMar's reaction. I'm thinking, well, unfortunately for you, your history, as I had a coach one time tell me, your reputation is like a tail. You can look back and hope like hell it's gone. It ain't gone. And for Grayson Allen, for the rest of his career, this is going to haunt him. But visually, Stacey, I did not react to it the way you did. It looked like in the course of defending, to me, he punched into DeMar. So
hey,
you thought it was bad. I know you did.
Yeah,
I'm
because we've seen it. The play last year especially comes to mind. There was a play with Luka earlier. I think this year they played Dallas, where he was going for a loose ball and he took Luka out there. Now this is one of your star players in the league. In the '90s, these kind of plays were every single time down the floor. But in this day and age, these plays are not. You don't see those plays. You don't see a guy who's going in for a layup defenseless, and then you clothesline him basically and throw him on the ground. He breaks his wrist, and Caruso missed like 30 games because of that, and his wrist is still giving him problems. So we're here in Chicago. We're a little on edge when he's involved in anything.
I listen, it's why I prefaced my remarks by saying if I'm a Chicago fan, I understand. And to your point, Steve Kerr played back when you were talking about it. Do you remember the play last year that had him incensed when Marcus Smart dives for a loose ball? I can't remember who he went into, but the knee hit, and Marcus saying, "Hey man, this is the way I play." But Marcus obviously has a totally different reputation than Grayson Allen. So.
Hey, speaking of the Western Conference, it's really up for grabs right now. Golden State is at 500. I believe they're 10th in the West right now. The Lakers are wallowing in 13th. LeBron made those cryptic comments about he doesn't want to finish his career playing for losing teams. But I want to focus more on the top where you see New Orleans and Memphis and Denver. Zion Williamson had 43 points last night, and D'Angelo Russell had the great quote after the game where he said he's playing football while we're playing basketball. Is Zion, and while Ja too as well, is that the future of the league? And what do you make of Zion? If he can stay healthy, can he become one of the real faces of the league?
Oh, I think so. I think, because of the explosiveness of his game, I'm amazed, Stacey, that he gets left all the time. And, credit to their staff for getting them to that position. But that first step, that explosiveness, he reminds me a little bit of Giannis in the fact that he seems to be able to physically punish you.
Right.
But as a defender, when you're reacting to him, there's not the level of physicality allowed. I think he like Giannis is very challenging for these officials to officiate because what's coming offensively. And so I think it's an interesting dance. I love Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, I do too.
Was stunned by the comment he made to Malika Andrews about we're worried about Boston, nobody in the West.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He said nobody in the West. And Stacey, how is that interpreted now? You saw what Golden State did on their home floor without Steph Curry. They had a message for those young boys. But do you find that appealing, that level of confidence, or to a player is that more off-putting because at this point they've not yet even won a Western Conference championship?
Well, I think it's bulletin board material to the teams in the Western Conference like Denver, who hadn't hit their stride yet. They're starting to play a little bit better. I think Golden State took it personally. They've been taking it personally since last year. So I think players look at it and it's like, we can't wait to play you. We can't wait to show you that you're not as good as you are. But I love their confidence. I love his confidence because, that's how the 90s were. And that's how the 90s teams were. Guys were just confident. Larry Bird would tell you what he's going to do to you before he even did it.
That's right.
Magic's going to come out there and tell you what he's going to do to you before he does it. MJ wouldn't say anything to you, but if you came up and said, "Hey, Michael, have a good game," he's like, "I'm going to give you 40 for just talking to me." So that's how it used to be. And I was just telling Mark earlier, there were so many rivalries back in the 90s that made basketball fun. And not only were the players, it was the team rivalry, the fans got into it. New York and Chicago fans hated each other. Detroit and Chicago fans hate each other. So Boston, LA fans hate each other. Those rivalries are no more. So it's good to see a guy like Ja Morant trying to stir up the pot a little bit to get the onus on some rivalries between him and Golden State or whoever else they want to play.
I agree. I think we need it. I think we need the juice. The parity is keeping the standings tight. So the more dislike that's out there is a good thing. The other team I really like is Denver. I don't think Jamal Murray is back yet. He's struggled down the stretch of some possession ball games. One would expect that two-man dance he does with Jokic will be great by the end of the season. They're deep. Aaron Gordon is really, they have he's staying, it feels like he's near the rim more. And with that body and that athleticism, that's where you want him. They've upgraded their defense. Like, I think they have a chance to be formidable by the end of the season. That's for sure.
Hey, Doris, now's the point in the interview where we kind of ask you to buckle up because we let Tim ask a question late in the interview. We do this strategically because if he really offends our guest and they turn off their computer, then we're okay because we got most of the interview in the books. So Tim, I know you've done research on Doris.
We can always cut it out as we've done in the past.
Yeah, editing is a great tool, isn't it?
But Doris
am I allowed to be profane? Because if you truly knew me, I am absolutely profane.
Oh, we like it.
Oh, here we go.
We like it. This is our kind
right,
of show.
Tim.
You know what? Fuck it. Let it go. Let's do this, Doris. You've been accused of a lot of things, which is great. Like from being a white woman, from being Kate Winslet. You've heard all these things, right? What is it?
No.
Wearing your high heels out. And then Devin Booker said, "Have you seen her hands?" So what do you have to say about all these accusations out there?
All I know is I was married for 18 years and then divorced. And I remember I was married at the time, and my husband said, social media was starting to become a thing. And he started to read me things that the social media people were saying. And I just looked at him, I go, don't do that. I don't want to know what people are saying. He goes, you got to listen to this one. He said, somebody said you have your hair pulled back so tight you could bounce a quarter off your head. Now, looking back, is it any wonder I divorced him? No.
That's funny.
Tim,
I don't want to know what's out there, my friend.
You got anything? You got anything else, Tim?
So nothing about the high heels or the hands or Kate Winslet. Nothing.
Not a thing.
It's all good. Actually, I thought they were all compliments at the end of the day. So being accused of good things was okay.
Yeah. Well, shoot. I'll take it.
Stacey gets accused.
Often.
Stacey gets accused of being the black Brad Pitt all the time, so we get it.
Oh, man. Okay, see, this is what I have to deal with. I was voted 10 most sexiest men in Montana by the Women's Rotary Club, and they've been hating ever since, Doris. They've been hating ever since because they weren't in the magazine. They would not allow me to bring them with me, and this is why Michael Jackson left the Jackson 5, okay, because he could only take the Jackson 5 so far, and he had to go solo. I'm sorry, Tito and Randy. It's not my fault, okay?
And Devin Booker said, did you see his hands?
Oh, hey. Doris is a hooper, though.
Yeah.
She's a hooper.
I know, but Devin Booker actually said, did you see her hands?
I think he meant my handle. I'm thinking
handle.
Oh,
yeah, not her hands.
It's
a
my
woman, man.
That was the test. She said she didn't know what I was talking about.
You get a chance for one question and
Doris.
you bungle it.
No,
this is why we have him on a leash.
That was the test. See how I do that?
We have him on a leash, and so we have this little button here that we hit just in case of emergency. When he says something stupid, we just hit it.
See how I got her? I did with the handles the whole time.
But you know what he does? He does a great Christopher Walken.
Yeah,
do a
give us a
Christopher
little
Walken.
Christopher Walken.
Hi, Doris. It's great to meet you, and I appreciate your handles as well.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yes, this is why he's on the show. This is the only thing he brings to the show is this Christopher Walken.
Man.
Once the Christopher Walken dies, he's off the show.
It's already died.
He does all our ad reads, so he does the Christopher Walken voice to sell the hot sauce.
We had
so
Dan Patrick on last week, and Dan Patrick thought he did a great Christopher Walken, So he was talking about Christopher Walken. You saw him at a party, he brought some kittens, and he's like, Dan, they said, hey, what are you doing with these kids? He said, I brought 2 kittens. Still, I had to do it.
Who doesn't show up at a party with a couple of kittens?
And Dan Patrick lost it because he's like, oh my God, he does it better than me.
Oh, that's great. Dan Patrick, man, you got some guests on your pod.
Listen, you know what? The Give Me the Hot Sauce podcast, we only bring the best, okay? That's why I reached out to you, DB, because you're one of the best, and you just spice up my show. I told you when you came on, David, before you came on, I said the room lightened up. It was like some angelic moving around. I'm like, look at this. It's like bright in here. The lights. I couldn't even see Mark early. The lights were off. Now I can see him.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. You're a sweetheart.
Well, next time you do a Bulls game, we do a simulcast because sometimes we do the side-to-side thing.
Right.
They allow us to work with ESPN. They allow us to be in the same light. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Doris, before we let you go,
don't ship me that. Don't ship me that sauce. We'll see one another at some point.
Yes, I'll bring it. I'll bring it to you.
All right.
Doris,
Okay.
before we let you go, I had the pleasure to work with Cassidy Hubbard for a couple of years when she was first starting out in the
Oh,
business,
love
and
her.
boy, her star has risen. I know that you've inspired a lot of young female broadcasters. That must be something you take a lot of pride in.
I don't know about that. Like, I feel like I look at Cassidy Hubbard and Candace Parker and the next generation of women, you know what? They inspire me. Like, they know they belong. They are confident and comfortable. Their presence on camera, it gives me joy. And Cassidy Hubbard is one of the best people I know. So
Yes.
she's awesome. She's great.
Well,
She loves her Bulls, boy.
Yeah, she
I know
does.
she does. Yeah.
Bulls.
She rides and dies with Chicago Bulls. She's a friend of the program. We've had
That's
her on
right.
here.
You got to get her on too.
Yeah, she's been on. She came on early.
Yeah, she was on.
Yeah, we've
Sarah
had
Kustok
we
as
had
well.
Sarah Kustok on. Yeah, hey, listen,
great.
hey, women in the industry, man. Like
Yeah.
we
Love
bringing
her.
all
Only
the
the best.
superstars up, bringing all the superstars out. So
Lisa Byington.
Lisa Byington, who's doing a great job in Milwaukee. She worked with me for a little bit. We had her when Neil Funk was retiring. We brought her in, and I told her, whenever
She's
wants
number
to-
14, by the way, Mark.
No.
Okay,
She
there
was
you
top
go.
5.
Okay, see,
That's an inside the Beltway story.
You know what? These guys
Just
have
like whispers.
the year that Neil was going to retire. They brought in 17 play-by-play guys. I had to work with 17 different people.
They had
Are
to,
you kidding?
They had to
Yes.
wear name
Yeah.
tags
Yeah.
too, so Stacey
Listen.
wouldn't forget who he was working with.
Doris, I swear
with
to
their
God,
number.
17 different broadcasts I had to work with. Okay, Adam was one of those 17. So the first day, Adam was the first one I worked with. And after that, I said, this is the guy. This is the guy, because we had such a rapport with one another, and I just knew, okay? So then I went ahead and did the other 16, okay? Mark was one of the 16.
Yeah.
Mark, but I got Mark on. Mark, they didn't want to let Mark come on. So I got Mark in. I pulled some strings to get Mark in there. Now, Mark is one of the replacements now. So when Adam is doing football or something and the other guys can't do it because they don't want to, they call Mark out of the bullpen. They say, hey,
Yeah, when nobody else in the country
are
is
you
available.
Busy?
Yeah.
You want to do the Bulls and the Rockets game tonight? No one's going to be there.
Hey, I'm working New Year's Eve because everybody else had plans.
See, everybody else is partying, but he's gonna be there. But we had 17 different guys, and we had Lisa Byington was one of them. She was one of the people that I really loved working with, and that's the first time that I worked with a female, and I was blown away with how she handled herself and her knowledge of the game, and I was just like, man, I can see myself working with her. Like, this is awesome, So I worked with some good people, man. I had the opportunity to work with some good people.
That's cool. They made
Present
the right
company
choice.
notwithstanding. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, I was 6,436.
You know what?
Christopher
It was not
Walken
so
was
bad.
on his list. Though.
Listen,
he would have worked with
Mark.
Walken.
No,
I'm
my
never gonna live this
impersonation was
down,
higher.
Doris. I got Mark was like he was ranked number 17 out of the 17 people.
Yeah.
And then then I moved him up because he's my friend. I moved
That's
him
right.
up in there, and I got his foot in the door. And all he needed was a chance because Mark never did play-by-play. He never did any of that. So he was coming in like with no experience whatsoever, but he has a great voice, he has a great presence, and he knows Bulls basketball. So that's a great combination. And once he came in, and I directed him a little bit. I was like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. I was telling him what to do,
pulling the strings.
because Mark, when you first work with somebody, they want to call the game like you're on the radio. And they want to call dribbling left. He's tying his shoe right there. Oh, wait a minute, he went to go scratch his ass over in the corner. No, Mark, you don't need to call everything. Just call.
Boy, this has gone sideways in a hurry.
I'm Doris, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? In TV, everybody sees everything, so you don't need to call it like radio. So I feel like, Mark really owes me a lot for teaching him how to be a good broadcaster.
Wow. Mark, we're going to talk later.
The truth is coming out.
Mark, we're going to talk later about this.
Shut up. Let Doris go so she can go play with her grandbaby.
We're going to let you.
Oh my God.
Let you enjoy your family. We apologize for the show going completely off the rails for the last few minutes, but
As it does.
it was such a joy to get a chance to visit with you for a while. Continued success in your career. Enjoy your family with this precious time off that you have, and we'll look forward to watching you as the NBA season gets to the most important games and on into the playoffs.
See you soon, DB.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. Be well.
Give me the hot sauce, Doris. Give me the hot sauce.
The great Doris Burke, our guest on episode 112. Hey, Doris Burke loved Timmy's Christopher Walken impersonation, and he's always the best advocate for selling the Give Me the Hot Sauce.
Yeah, I'm done. It's Joe Pesci now.
That's better than Tyson.
Absolutely freaking not. It's horrible.
You think that's funny?
It's horrible.
You think that's funny, like getting hot sauce in your eye?
Okay, you sound like somebody named like Eddie Squidley or something.
I don't think so.
Who you? Eddie Squidley. That's your new nickname. Not Joe.
And his shorts are too tight.
Yeah. He's got.
It might be young Joe Pesci, but it's all right.
Oh, this is terrible. We've given him too much rope. He's already hung himself twice tonight. So.
Oh, sometimes it's 3 times.
Tell the folks about the hot sauce, whoever you are.
We want Walken. We want Walken.
You
the
guys
fans are yelling, we want Christopher Walken.
You guys are just kind of mean. That's what it comes down to. You guys are mean.
We're bullies, okay?
Bullies. All right. Let's do this. Where am I at here?
This guy's had too much to drink. Is there a cutoff here in the show? Who's giving this guy drinks? Man, are you giving this guy drinks?
Look at this. So we got 2 versions.
Nobody knows how
The
dry I
Angel.
am.
This is great. Look at the reads. The Angel version and the Andy version.
Okay. What's Andy's version?
You're supposed to do the hot sauce read.
Oh, you're supposed to hot sauce.
It's still funny though. I mean, this is crazy.
Look at Andy's read.
Yeah. Who did this?
This is horrible. Chief Little Legs is not getting read this way. All right, go ahead.
This is valuable podcast time.
I'm
You're
sorry.
wasting,
Go
Tim.
ahead, Tim. Go ahead, read it.
I can't even
Sorry,
think,
America.
I can't even think straight now.
Go ahead, America.
Are you looking to score the hottest sauce in the game? Well, you're in luck. We've got all the sauce a kitchen needs from Chicago Fire 1871. The hottest of the bunch. Like getting sauce in your eye there.
Okay, there's a cutoff from here on this show. There will be no more beer, alcohol served on this show again.
St. Pat's Verde. Give me the hot sauce. Has got you covered. Stop by GimmeTheHotSauce.com and use code KING21 to get 20% off your first order.
You've been filling a lot of orders during the holidays?
Are you packing a lot of
Yeah,
orders?
you packing?
That's right.
Packing a lot of orders?
I don't pack shit.
It's that guy Whispers.
Yeah.
No, Whispers packs it. I don't pack nothing.
Okay, can we get to the next read, please? Come over.
Hey, let's talk a little sports.
Hey, you're supposed to feed into that. You guys didn't do your job.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, there will be no more alcohol served on the Gimme the Hot Sauce set again. Okay, it's over. It's done. Only water. Angel water sauce.
Or we need more. One or the other.
All right, Mark, we get the train back on the track, please, before we crash.
Let's talk a little Bears and NFL. 2 games left in the regular season. The Bears will be in Detroit on Sunday. They finish up against the Vikings. Justin Fields is going to play. He left the last game early, kind of banged up his foot a little bit, but he says he's 100% and ready to go. Bears right now would hold the 2nd pick in the NFL draft. And, Stacey, if they play their cards right, trade back a couple of times, they could accumulate a lot of picks because teams will give you too much to try to move up for a quarterback.
America. It could be good for the Bears.
Yeah.
They get the number 2 spot. As Mark said, accumulate draft picks, move back. But will they do that?
I saw something, I don't know if this was just a random fan, but he said you could trade back to 3 for a team to move up for a quarterback, then trade back again with the Raiders who have the 9th pick and get Devontae Adams and the 9 for the 3. How about that trade?
Well, as you know, Derek Carr is probably out of. Come on, man. They did
him wrong.
They did Derek Carr wrong, man.
He pulled a no-show.
Come on, man. They did Derek Carr wrong, man. Derek Carr was the franchise quarterback.
He's been a stand-up guy too.
Yeah, he cried on the podium. He really wanted to win. You know, when a guy wants to win, when they cry in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's when I hit Whispers in the throat with a throat punch that he starts crying.
I've cried once or twice.
Yeah, you won't know that I throat punched him. But I just didn't. I mean, listen, come on. There's only how many games? 2 games left.
Yeah.
What is Stidham going to do? Like the
Nothing.
backup? Exactly.
Nothing, yeah.
They're going to probably get killed. So.
Right.
Play Carr out, let him play well, and then let him build up his trade value. I don't understand that because you're not going to the playoffs, and so you want to see what the Stidham has that's behind him. But if Carr's not in your future, how about let him finish out the year, put up some crazy numbers, throw for like 350 yards, and then trade him and get some picks and rebuild the Raiders?
He didn't show up at the practice facility though. That's
Well, that's because he got benched. He asked to be let out.
Just not show up.
Well, they gave him permission.
It's a statement.
Excused absence.
Oh.
Now there's been speculation that either Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers might wind up as the Raiders quarterback next year.
America. Tom, if you're listening to me, TB12.
Don't do it.
TB12, I'm a big fan. I've always been a big fan of Tom Brady. Even Tom Brady at Michigan when he ran the 40 in 2 weeks. TB12. Just retire, man. Go into broadcasting. Just take the easy way out. You played a lot. You won many. You're gonna go down as the greatest quarterback in the history of the game. You don't have anything else to prove except now taking chance of getting hurt, getting put behind a bad offensive line. We saw the line they had in Tampa Bay. He had no shot, even though they're gonna make the playoffs. Just ride into the sunset and have everybody yell, Shane, Shane, come back.
Wow.
Mom wants you, Shane. So if you ever seen Shane, the cowboy movie, that's one of the greatest classics, Shane, with Alan Ladd. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. Shane is one of the classic cowboy movies. But Aaron Rodgers being reunited with Devontae Adams would be a really pretty good thing for them. But I don't know if Green Bay is willing to, with the way Rodgers is playing right now and the way he's been playing. Why would you want to get rid of him? Because Jordan Love, you don't know what you have with him. In the extended time that he did play, he looked bad. And you look what's going on in San Francisco. Okay, we know Jimmy G is the guy, okay? But Trey Lance is the number one pick. He's their number one pick. And now you got Purdy.
Brock Purdy playing.
Brock Purdy was like the Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
And he looks like Tom Brady in there now. Like the young Tom Brady that took over for Drew Bledsoe.
Number 5 on the power rankings.
And he's going to turn around and he's going to get this team to go deep in the playoffs because they have a defense that carries no matter where they go. Their defense that San Francisco had is unbelievable. They got a running game. Debo Sanders got that high ankle sprain, but he should be back pretty soon. You got Christian McCaffrey, and you got a quarterback that's got a tight end in Kittle that can save him when he needs to. They could run the table and get to the Super Bowl. Don't be shocked.
Yeah, it really is wide open this year. It's going to be interesting to see what teams make it to the big game. Miami lost to the Packers in their last game. They've been struggling, and their quarterback Tua Tagovailoa got knocked out, another concussion, and people are wondering, Stacey, should he play football again?
Oh, man. I tell you what, man, those concussions that he had early in the season where he just kind of fell out, that was scary. I've heard where some people say that, they feel like he might have some brain damage right now, but you don't know. That's why you have doctors to be able to diagnose him. If they say that he's okay, that he probably just needs some rest, so be it. But I don't see him retiring early because of that. There's some guys in this league, Luke Kuechly, retired early because of the concussions that he was getting. He was getting concussions, but he was a middle linebacker that's coming there tackling everybody all the time. So that's a little bit different than the quarterback. Maybe Dolphins should get some protection to protect the guy.
I'm going to try this Andy's version, Reed.
Yeah, go ahead.
See what this all. Are you grossed out by your water? If you are, you probably switched to bottled water, but yet that's not good for you, right? Because it's made of petroleum. What? Because it's made of petroleum, it causes high levels of estrogen. What? That is why we only drink high-quality water here in the Sriracha Studios. Angel Water. Stay hydrated all year long with water you can trust. Call our good friend Andy at Angel Water, 847-382-7800 to get Drew the Water Guru to come test your water for free. Who is Drew the Water Guru?
First of all, okay, this is okay. What?
See what I mean?
Okay, first of all, Chief Little Legs. I don't know how this snuck in here in the reads. I don't know how you came in here and printed this off.
Estrogen?
And, I don't know. Estrogen.
Drew the Water
petroleum. Drew the Water Guru. Somebody did was the studios locked up because this looked like this was added to the script. Through. This is like it was added to the script. We normally don't see this. This is the first time I've seen the Andy's
word for
version.
word from Andy.
Who is responsible for this?
It's transcribed from Andy. It's an alternate version.
He came in here?
It's an alternate version. It's his live read in case you don't want our read.
How dare you?
Well, let me tell you something.
Straight from the mouths.
Okay,
from the mouths of Little Legs.
Sriracha crew, we need to have a production meeting and we need to go over these things and we need to make sure that this is we're able to read these kind of things. This was gross water. You grossed out by your water. How many people are grossed out by the water? I mean, not too many people grossed out by water.
No, I don't think so. Hey, let's change the mood a little bit. We celebrated Christmas over the weekend, and I know we got some photos for those who are following along on the YouTube chat. Stacey, you have a nice holiday? I mean, you were on the road until the weekend, but you did get back in time.
It was like planes, trains, and automobiles, America. We were in New York. We
Hey,
beat
there's the green
Knicks.
bean casserole if you're watching.
Oh,
that.
there it is.
Thank
There it is,
God.
Brooke.
Yeah.
There it is. Oh, yeah.
And there's my son Eric and his fiance Mary. She's on. They're not together, which is kind of
you-
weird, but we put Brooke in the middle.
Did you bring any in,
They're
Mark?
not together. What do you mean they're not together?
No, I mean in the photo they're not
Oh, I
together.
thought,
No, but you said you'd bring
Mark,
some of
you
that
scared
in
me.
so we know what a green bean casserole tastes like when it's good.
Delicious whispers.
Mark, when you told me
Dang
they
it.
weren't together, I
No,
thought
no.
they broke up over Christmas.
No, very much in love.
Oh, thank you. Jeez, don't scare me like that, man. Dang. Okay, the green bean casserole. Brooke, I told you. Brooke, if you listen, I know you are. Brooke, I told you if there was 10 items on there at the Christmas festivities, the green bean casserole would be about the sixth thing I
Look
go
at
after.
that smile, though. She's so
Yes.
proud of it.
She is so proud of it and whispers.
Hers is
just
probably
talk
good.
so much trash
Yeah.
about it.
It's probably
so.
like fresh green beans and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And
Grown with
yeah,
love
yours
in
is
her own
probably
garden.
good.
But you know
Yeah,
what? But
yeah,
you know, we
crispy
got,
onions.
But you see, Mark, you got. I mean, it's such a beautiful, festive place. Look at a nice Christmas
Yeah.
tree, about 10
Yeah.
feet tall. Yeah, it's nice. So we got back from the Knicks game. We were supposed to fly back after the game on Friday night to get back in Chicago by 1. Plane gets some technical difficulties.
Oh, no.
We end up having to stay the night in New York.
Would you fly Southwest Airlines?
No, we flew Delta.
Oh, wait.
An NBA program.
Were those my pictures?
Then,
Thanks, guys.
Then we didn't get back to Chicago till like 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Oh,
So
man.
I still had some last minute shopping to do. I still had to go by the butcher and grab some prime rib and stuff.
Yeah.
And I get home and everything's closed. So I had to dig. You know, I always keep gifts just in case for like people come over to the
Emergency,
house.
yeah.
Emergency gifts. You know, like, hey, how you doing? Stacey got an autograph.
They call
picture or
that
whatever.
cash.
That always works.
So I still had some stuff to get my kids.
So I still had some cash.
Shut your mouth, Tim. I still had some gifts to give my kids, right? So I had all these fire sticks. I had bought all these
Oh,
fire
yeah, that's a
sticks
good gift.
to like furnish my house. So
Yeah.
every room had the fire sticks, you know. And I got a friend that, you know, does some wonders for me. I don't, you know.
No, you don't want to advertise that.
I know a friend that has a friend
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
friend. Okay, so
It's in the TV business.
So, yeah, in the TV business. In the TV business. So I didn't have the gifts for my kids just yet. So I had to pull out the old fire sticks. I did a little wrapping. I put
Yeah.
some tinfoil on them. 'Cause I
Nice.
didn't have any wrapping paper, so I wrapped them in tinfoil.
So they can't be tracked.
I gave it to him. Merry Christmas. Merry
There you go.
Christmas.
Nice.
So that's all I could do. And I got one of my sons a TV. He got like a 70-inch TV, which he wanted.
So one son got a 70-inch TV, the other one got a fire stick?
No, the other one, no. The one who got the fire stick got 4 new tires to his car.
Oh, okay.
Because he wanted tires. Because, you know, your kids are no longer, like, when they were little, you spoil them. So they had, like, all the, like, a million toys, million
Yeah.
gifts to open up. You know, because when I was growing up, you know, we only got, like, one gift. It was socks or underwear. We never got toys and stuff, you know, because we didn't have a loot, okay? So I said, when I get some money, my kids are going to get spoiled. So when they were little, I used to spoil them. Gifts all over the place. So now it's big ticket items. So tell me what you want. Because you're all in their 20s. Tell me what you want. So one says, I like tires. I give him 4 tires for his car for the winter. Came right at the time, the perfect time with the snowstorm. One wants an Xbox. I got him an Xbox. Another one, you know, I want a TV. Got him a TV.
Mark, this is not the conversation Stace and I had.
Oh, my God.
He says, I'm going to buy them all cologne, some high karate,
High karate,
some,
yeah.
some
It's
canoe, and
always
some
good.
Old Spice, and they're all set. We're all done.
You know what's crazy, Mark? We did have that conversation. I did say that.
That is what you said.
I did say that because I was a little upset with my children, okay? Because they didn't do what they were supposed to do when I was gone away for 8 days.
Taking care of the dogs?
My son got fired for taking care of the dogs. Oh, shout out to Mary. Mary, my dog watcher. She takes care of my dogs when I go out of town. She's all perfect. Mary Nagy, she's perfect. If you need a dog, you need to let someone to watch your dog if you're going out of town. Little Mimsy, if they need to go, you just give it to Mary. She'll watch it for you.
And you had a visitor I saw on social media. A third dog entered the fray?
Oh, Winston. Yeah, my 2 bullies had a little friend. Somebody dropped a little Winston off. He's another bulldog. So it was like 3 little bullies. They had a little bro session.
Did they rough him up a little bit?
Yeah, they roughed him up. It's like prison. It's like prison, man. They took
He was the smallest of the bunch,
Yeah,
so-
he was the smallest of the bunch. They kind of punked him. They kind of punked him.
Well, he came in
Yeah.
with soap on a rope. It was going to be bad.
He's like, hey, don't drop the doggy bone, buddy. Don't drop the doggy bone. Keep the doggy bone in your mouth, baby, because if it drops, you don't tell them what's gonna happen.
Hey, Whispers, every week we give out recommendations for people to watch movies or series, and I see that you watched the same movie I did, that new Knives Out movie, Glass Onion. What
Glass
did you think of
Onion?
that?
Oh, awesome.
I enjoyed it quite. Yeah, it
Yeah, it
was
was
very
fun.
well done. Yeah.
It wasn't, there was enough twists in there to keep you really interested.
I don't understand. Daniel Craig is like this British great
Yeah.
detective, but He talks like he's from Alabama or something like.
Yeah.
Like what is that?
But he played that in both
plays
movies.
He plays that role perfectly.
No, he pulls it off beautifully.
That's a movie because that went to Netflix. Was it on
Yeah,
Netflix?
Netflix.
Yeah, it's very well done.
So I'm telling you, this is a thing that you could see them making 3 or 4 or 5 movies.
Yeah.
Because it's always that who done it. And
Right.
those movies, I'm telling you, because they're running out of ideas. This is a very fresh idea movie because you don't think they could after the first one, and they had a great ensemble in that first one, that they would be able to top that. This was really, really good.
And spoiler alert, he figures it out before it happens.
There you go, giving out spoilers.
I ruined it.
Wow,
Yeah,
you
I did it.
ruined
I
it.
just did it. Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, you know another twist on a old time story. It was a new movie that came out for the holidays called Spirited with Will Ferrell
That was well
and,
done,
and
yeah.
Ryan Reynolds,
Yeah.
and that was really it is a musical, but the whole thing is that the Ebenezer Scrooge thing, Christmas Carol, they put a whole new spin on it. I'm not going to wreck it for anybody, but if you're looking for something to add
go
to
ahead,
your
ruin
holiday
it.
rotation, well, Will Ferrell, it turns out, was Ebenezer Scrooge in a past
There
life.
it is.
Oh, wow. Sorry, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Danger, Will Robinson.
But I expected nothing from this movie, and it was
It was
fun.
entertaining. Yeah.
Well, I haven't watched it.
Did you see Bandit?
Now,
What's that?
Bandit, that movie that's
No.
pretty popular too. It's about a true bank robber in Canada, most successful bank robber in the history of Canada, who did like 60 robberies for $2.6 million, like 20 grand at a time or something.
Wow.
And it's a great story with Josh Duhamel and who's that?
Who's
other
that in
guy?
the photo? For those people
that
listening
Mel
on the
Gibson?
podcast,
Mel
they can't
Gibson,
see
yeah,
the photo.
That guy.
Okay, Mel Gibson.
Well, he's
okay.
a small role player in it, but it's well done. True story.
All right. That's
True story.
Okay.
Well, I know that Mike's sitting in the limo listening to this. He probably has some recommendations. We'll get his next time. But tell the folks if they want to be safe traveling on New Year's Eve, how they can get in touch with the best limousine service in the area.
Is there a New Year's deal?
Mike Almiro's out there right now. The weather's nice. He's out there
Yeah.
doing push-ups and some pull-ups against the side of the wall. Shout out to Mike, my man. And I didn't want a half a chicken today. He asked me for a half a chicken. You heard him ask me.
I
for
did,
half.
yeah. I was like, "Where's my half a chicken?"
He asked me that every time. So I'm going to Mariano's. You want a half a chicken? I'm like, Mike, I'm getting ready to go do 2 hours of a podcast. What am I going to eat a chicken for? All right, shout out to Mike, though. That's my guy. Windy City Limousine provides championship service. Making a reservation is so easy, it's a slam dunk. Let Windy City break the full court pressure and traffic and get you to your destination in style and on time. Contact Wendy at 847-916-9300 or visit WindyCityLimos.com. And it's New Year's Eve.
Yeah, be
You don't
safe
want to
out
be
there.
driving.
Right.
Call Windy City, get you a limo, get you a
Right.
party bus, and let them drive you to your destination
Don't
in
drive
safety.
yourself.
Do not. That's why we're not
Before
letting
you're
Tim
sleeping.
drive
Yeah,
home
we're not
today.
letting Tim-
We're
we're
not
gonna
letting
get
Tim
Tim a
drive
ride
home
home.
today. He's
Yeah.
gonna get an Uber and in a Hyundai. That's what he's gonna go on in a Hyundai.
Hey, before we get out of here, we do want to pass along this breaking news from today. The soccer great, Pele, passed away at the age of 82. He was voted the greatest soccer player of the 20th century, really universally regarded as the greatest soccer player of all time. 3 World Cups. He scored 2 goals in the final game at the age of 17. Just a remarkable athlete. Stacey, when you think about athletes, this is obviously before your time, but you go all the way back to the 60s. It was Jim Brown. It was Ali. It was Pele. He was regarded as one of the greatest athletes in the world.
Big hero of mine.
There's a documentary showing his rise from a child all the way up to being a superstar. Unbelievable. And you got to remember, he was coming up during the time with segregation and all kind of stuff. Amazing soccer player. It will go down as the greatest of all time. And Messi now, who's only got one, he's got 1 World Cup. You get 3. I don't think you'll see another player get 3 World Cups. You just won't see it. And to be the guy, the reason why they got those World Cups. He had his hand in all of that as a great player. He wasn't a role player. He wasn't a guy just being part of a team. He was the reason why they won the World Cup.
And he's noted for the bicycle kick.
Yes.
Right.
But
Yes.
even though they say he didn't invent it, he's still noted for it because he did it in the World Cup.
Sad day in sports.
Yeah.
Legend gone.
And Tim actually is kind of rounding into sobriety late in the show, so this is great.
Wow. Thank you, Mark.
Just like
Some heartfelt
whispers.
sentiment at the end of the show for Soccer Great
You know
Play.
what? I'm going to give you.
Tim rallied at the end of the
I'm
show.
going to give you a sweaty hug here at the end.
Hey, America! I'm just gonna tell you, it looks cold. It looks cold here because we got sweats on, but it's like a sauna up in this. It's hot as hell up in here. Okay, sweating like a.
It's a hot show with the temperature to
Oh,
match.
Frosty the Snowman in
Normally
Vegas
hold
in the
hands, but
summer.
we can't tonight.
What did you say?
Normally hold hands. Come on, bring it over.
It's time to get off this show, man.
Hey, let's
Wrap
bring
it
down
up.
the
Bring it
curtain.
over.
Episode
Bring it over.
112.
Bring
We
it
wish
over.
all of our
Bring it
listeners
over.
a happy and safe New Year.
Hands
Enjoy
are
the
clammy.
celebration. We'll see you next week with another great guest on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Play the finish. Get us home.
Drive home safely, Chicago, BP.
Jimmy G. Buckets gets buckets. Oh my goodness. Give me the hot sauce. Bill Buck. Give me the hot sauce. What are you doing, Dragic? Did you not get the memo? Derrick Rose can go upstairs. Woo! Let me step back and kiss myself. MVP time. Windy City Assassin does it